Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whichever part of the world you're in. It's such a pleasure, delight to be here for this one. Again, another really good, interesting webinar, global webinar, IFEES, GEDC, IUC global webinar. And of course, now this is also IGIP included in that partnership. As many of you know, we have been having partnership, IUC has a partnership with IGIP for many, many years. Dr. Veena Kumar, who helps the program in India, is here with us also. But the main person, the inspiration behind a lot of the teaching and learning that happens in India today is actually Dr. Michael Auer, who was the former president of IGIP and now the Secretary General of IGIP. And many of the faculty in India have received IGIP certificates from Michael Auer, and also more recently, Dr. Hanno Hartz, who is now the current president of IGIP. He's also here, and I'm sure both of them can join in the later on in the discussion. But I would leave it up to Dr. Michael Auer, the honors of introducing our distinguished speaker for today. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you very much. It's my special honor to introduce Eleonore Lickl as the speaker of today's webinar. Eleonore Lickl is really experienced with all matters and issues of IGIP or IGIP. I don't know how long she is a member of IGIP, but I think much more longer than myself. Eleonore Lickl was an active member of IGIP. Eleonore Lickl knows very good the founder of IGIP, Adolf Meletinek. She was for a long time General Secretary of IGIP, also during the time or a part of the time when I was the president of IGIP. And now she is still member of the IGIP Executive Committee, a very active member. And Eleonore Lickl was elected also as member of the IFEES Executive Committee. So who should be better able to explain this than she? Eleonore, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Michael. And Eleonore, the floor is yours. I'm going to turn my video off and you can take it. Good.
Yes, thank you, both of you. Thank you, Professor Krishna. Thank you, Professor Michael Auer. It's really an honor for me that I can present today my society and its International Engineering Educator certification. I was already introduced. I want just to add that I have been teaching for more than 30 years in engineering education, and also the last 15 years I had been at the University of Teacher Education teaching engineering education. I also had been working or have some experience in curriculum development, so I know something of that field. Welcome everyone to this webinar. A short overview. I will present the society. The society, I call it IGIP because all my life it was called IGIP. I know the many foreigners call him IGIP. I can do that also, but in my brain it's impressed as IGIP, Internationale Gesellschaft für Ingenieurpädagogik from its German name. So I will present the society. Then I will talk about these training centers and how they can be accredited. Then I will talk about the International Engineering Educator, its profile, and this register, which is one of the main topics today. And I think the main topic today is the prototype curriculum. All these training centers in the future will work on. Last but not least will be a question and answer session with Professor Krishna. Very short history. I think you know better than me. The first chair in engineering pedagogy was in Germany at the Technical University Dresden, the professors Lichtenegger and Lohmann. But here in Austria, in 1972, the first international conference took place. The conference was about engineering education, and no one before had held such a conference. At this conference, the society was formed with its German title, because we are in a German-speaking country. As already mentioned by Professor Auer, the society was founded by Professor Adolf Melezinek. He was then president of the society for more than 30 years. In 2022, the society will celebrate its 50th anniversary. And this year, we will have the 50th conference of the society in Dresden. I will come later to that also. I have forgotten that we wanted to have a poll at the beginning. Professor Krishna, please.
Yes, I will run the poll right now. Would you like me to do that? I will do that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to launch a simple poll, and the poll will get some idea where people are from. Where do you come from? So just have options of Asia, Americas, Africa, Europe, Australia. So let's see what the distribution is. All right. Okay, yeah, the answers are coming up. Wonderful. So give you a few more seconds. Okay, keep coming, and I will close in a few seconds. So hurry up if you want to vote. Okay, so I'm going to close right now and read out the results. So the results are Asia, 45% from Asia, the Americas, 30%, Africa, 10%, Europe, 15%, and Australia, 0%. Okay, so that's the distribution, Eleanor.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I did not expect anyone coming from Australia because we don't have any members so far in Australia. So for
and
me,
also the timing is difficult for them. This
yeah,
time it is after midnight in Australia.
Yeah, but our society, unfortunately, we don't have links to Australia. But you see, the other continents are, present. Thank you. Very short about the society, IGIP or IGIP. It's the only international society for engineering pedagogy, has 50 years of tradition. It provides a certification and it provides accreditation, what was already mentioned, but what will be explained in a minute. The mission is taken from the IGIP website. One of the most important goals, improving teaching methods in technical subjects. But just second, developing practice-oriented curricula, and then correspond to the needs of students and employers. Like 50 years ago, when the society was founded, the students were not so in the focus. Fortunately, this has changed. Then third point of the mission, encouraging the use of media. I mean, we have learned that the last year through to COVID-19, every one of us, because I don't know how often you see your students in presence. I don't see them very often. I mean, the last year, the first lockdown started in Austria, March 15, 2020. Now it's 1 year more or less, this lockdown. Starting from tomorrow, We're not allowed to leave the house for 24 hours, every 24 hours for 10 days, as you see. But the last year of teaching, only 2 months were with presence. All the other months we had to teach online. So of course we have to use media and the internet nowadays. But another focus of the mission of the society, integrating languages. As you can hear from my English, I learned English not as a child, but as an adult, and my English is not very good. Nowadays, of course, the children start to learn languages and it's much easier for them. But the society realized very early it's very important to integrate also languages and the humanities, because we have to work together in teams, in groups, and in the companies as they are nowadays. Another point is fostering management training for engineers, promoting environmental awareness, and supporting the development of engineering education in developing countries. I may mention we have registered Ing.Paed.IGIP even from Ethiopia. I think we have 60 from this country. I will show you the figures in a second. The leadership of any society, we have an executive committee. The president of the society, Hanno Horch from Dresden, was already mentioned. The Secretary General is Professor Michael Auer. We have vice presidents and so on and so on. For our webinar today, the International Monitoring Committee is important because at this committee, all the accreditation processes come together. I will explain in a moment. We also have national sections at the moment in 26 countries worldwide. You will get this presentation anyway, then you can click on the link that you come to the IGIP national sections, or you can look at them from the website. IGIP today, key activities, global cooperation with other engineering education associations and stakeholders. The prototype curriculum, I highlighted what I will talk about today. Then the certification. We also have scientific conference, I already mentioned, but it will come on a page in a second. We have working groups in strategic fields of engineering education. You also can look in detail about the working groups from the website of our society. We have publications in the field of engineering pedagogy. Also the online publications we have now since several years, you can find on our website. The membership, very important for a society. The possibilities are individual membership, student membership, institutional, and corporate. Here just an overview about the international cooperation we have. IFEES, of course. I have to thank Professor Hans Hoyer for the opportunity to give this webinar today. Thank you, Hans, very much. We have strong relationship to the IEEE Education Society, but also to the European Society for Engineering Education, to the American Society of Engineering Education, LACE, and so on and so on. So back to our society. We have 26 national sections at present. I mean, like at today, they support the applicants. There is a list of countries. I hope I did not forget anyone, starting from Argentina, ending with the United States. In these countries, the society Egypt or IGIP has established national sections. So if you're from any of these countries and are interested in the society, just go to the website and look up who is the representative in your country. If your country is not listed, just send an email to Professor Michael Auer at the last speech. At the last slide, I will give the contact addresses. So the national sections, they support all applicants and everyone interested in engineering education. Then we have, as of today again, 16 accredited training centers. I will explain in a moment what that is. It again starts with Argentina and it ends with US-Spain. Maybe I have to explain that because maybe you know, Ing.Paed.IGIP was founded by late Leonie Morel, a very good friend of us. And now the representation of this Ing.Paed.IGIP is in Spain. Therefore, I gave that is in Spain, but actually the Ing.Paed.IGIP is in Puerto Rico. There are not 16 countries listed because in several countries there are more than one. Also, maybe I have to explain the number of the training centers changes because after 5 years, a re-accreditation is needed. So it's not a continuous process because maybe change in the policy of an university or of a center or so. But as of today, we have 16 centers. The conference, I want to draw your attention to the uppermost part, annual ICL IGIP conference in September of this year in Dresden, Germany, from September 22nd to 24th. The submission is still open. We welcome everyone at this conference. Next year in 22, the conference will be in Vienna. This is a map with the IGIP contact points. I mean, the points are not always in the at the correct place, but you see more or less the distribution of the contacts of our society over the globe. I mean, this Ethiopia is located in Sudan. This is wrong. It should be further south. I'm sorry about that mistake. I hope most of the other countries have the dot in the right place. So you see there is a lot of national branches, 26 as I mentioned, and 16 training centers at present. So what is this when I talk like it is spelled in the first on the first side, Ing.Paed.IGIP or Ing.Paed.IGIP. What is this? It comes from Engineering Pedagogy, but it's a German abbreviation because this register started when the society was mainly focused in Austria, in the Eastern European countries, and yeah, mainly, let's say like this, and therefore it started with a German abbreviation. When you now see how the children of this famous owner of Tesla, how they are called, I think Ing.Paed.IGIP is not a strange abbreviation anymore. But anyway, it is a register. It is a list of people, and this register certifies that a certain educational level for a teacher, trainer, or instructor, as it was so far, that this person, he or she, is registered because the curriculum had been passed at any accredited training center. The training center had to teach according to the IGIP curriculum. So the engineering educator who has this certificate. I have one here. Yeah, you will later see, maybe in the presentation, another one. It states that from my education as an engineer, from my training, and from my professional experience, I have met the IGIP standards, and therefore I could apply for the certification as International Engineering Educator Ing.Paed.IGIP. International Engineering Educator Ing.Paed.IGIP. So it is a register, and it certifies if you have this certificate, you have passed a, let's say, course, I will later come to that, of 20 credit points with a curriculum, described curriculum, and you have learned several things about how to teach. In the past, I gave several presentations at conferences and so, and I always had a topic like we train the trainer. Yeah, because to teach engineering, yeah, there is teaching, but there is also teaching better. And we want to help the engineering educators to teach better. So you see here IGIP accreditation for training centers. We have this international monitoring committee I mentioned with Professor Tia Rüdmann as president at present. They accredit a certain institution that they are teaching according to the curriculum of us. They organize the program. They look at the entrance requirements for the students. They look at an engineering pedagogical curriculum. They look who are lecturers and professors. They look at institutional resources. Is it possible for the institution to do that, and so on? And they have to do quality control and to give feedback. So the institutions apply when they want to teach according to the curriculum. The monitoring committee then gives them an accreditation, and the institution can start teaching. Yeah. The next point is very important. And re-accreditation is necessary every 5 years. Why so? Because of course the lecturer may change, the professors may change, or as now given, the curriculum may change. So any training center is, let's say, working for 5 years, then it needs to be re-accredited. On this slide, you can see an overview of the certifications given so far by country. I listed from the country with the most Ing.Paed.IGIP certificates, which is Russia, with 459. The countries with just one are not on this page because I listed just selected countries. So you can look if your country is here. There are a lot of Indians, but India has a small number, I think, therefore it is not included in my list. Estonia, for example, is a very small European country, but has 83 recipients of the certificate, which means engineering education had a very strong focus in this country. The USA, I will again mention Loanie Morel and her institution. She started to give also the people from the USA the possibility to get this certificate after passing the course. So in total, we have, my calculator said that 1,862 as of today. Yeah. And of course, we have a list of the names. For example, my country number is A for Austria 181. Yeah. So you could look at, yeah, if not, it's data protection, so you cannot look, but the General Secretary would know who is the Russian person with the number, for example, 400 or so, because really there are persons behind that figures, because they have to have that certificate just after passing through a training center and an accredited course. The profile of an engineering educator, let's say as it was in the past, you will see it will change a little bit. It says there are 3 pillars. Of course, the pillars will stay. Yeah. The first one is engineering qualification. Yeah. The second one, professional experience. This pillar will change a little bit. Yeah. The third, educational qualification acquired in a course of a comprehensive education program. This profile stays. When I explain about the curriculum, you will see what I mean by that. Brief analysis of the IGIP Prototype Curriculum at present. We have a curriculum. The curriculum is from 2006. And as you see, everything needs, let's say, it must be renewed, time changes, and so on. So all the mentioned institutions, which are training centers at present, they work with the previous, with the prototype curriculum from 2006. But now we want to introduce, let's say, renewed prototype curriculum. Again, it has modules, core modules, theory, practice, and elective. In total, it has 20 credit points. The credit points come from the Bologna system, where for the European universities, comparable, let's say, comparability of the education was established. It took some time, and the universities were not all very friendly concerning the Bologna process, but nowadays, I think, in the European countries, it works very good, because of course it gives comparison of what you have done, and many students use the opportunity and go for a semester to other countries and to continue their study. And this is only possible if also the curricula are comparable. So this page is very important. The new prototype curriculum is an open curriculum. It's not the Bible. It says qualifications and competencies must be defined. We have heard it consists of modules, and modules can exist of units. I think I did not tell you that, but the qualifications and competencies must be defined. The content, how these goals can be reached, must be demonstrated. But it is not necessary to fix or define what methodology, what methods, what media are used in that course. This is up to the ATC, or we will say it is open to country-specific adjustment. So how you teach at your training center, it's not of importance to the IGIP, to IGIP. Yeah? Also, the assessment is open to you. Yeah. Of course, there must be some, and of course, when you apply to get a certificate for being an accredited training center, you must state how you will do, but it's open to the ATC how you assess. Yeah. When applying as an ATC, a direction formula is necessary. I will show you one in a second. Yeah. And we think, as the time it is as it is now, many things must be open to country-specific adjustments. Yeah. So this prototype curriculum takes care of that. The ATC had to describe a compulsory engineering didactic approach. We need that because we want to see what the ATC is planning. I will show you an example in a second. Now, I say there are changes, even if you don't know the existing, let's say, old curriculum from 2006. It's not important, but just that you know what is new, what has changed. The first and very important thing, the target groups which can work with this curriculum have been extended. Years ago, it was the engineering educators, the staff at the higher education, and the number 6, the teachers at higher vocational colleges in Central Europe. They could study at the training center and get the certificate. Now we extend, we enlarge the focus. Also the future staff in engineering education can start studying according to the IGIP curriculum, PhD students and so and so. It is not necessary that you already are teaching. It said so before, you have to teach at least 1 year. Now it says, just if you plan the career at the university in teaching, you can work according to the curriculum. But even more, we encourage students in engineering and science courses at higher education institutions to study according to the curriculum. Because early on, if they see what is engineering education about, they will have another view, even if later on they don't go into teaching or they don't stay at the university and work in research. But the knowledge about engineering education is also very important if they go to industry. The number 4, I hope, is very interesting for you, because we think also the teens and heads of faculties, schools or departments should know about engineering education. At present, when you were a mathematician, you could not educate yourself according to the curriculum, and you could not get a certificate. You have to be an engineer. Yeah, we think everyone who is heading faculty, school or department should know about engineering education. So we enlarge the groups who can work with this curriculum. And even the management staff at the higher educations can be included. So if I resume, engineering educators as staff at higher education institutions, but also future staff, and let's say future staff, the students, then the deans and head of faculties, management staff. And as before, The vocational teachers at higher vocational colleges in the countries, they have that system. The Central European countries have that. The new prototype curriculum is divided into modules, module areas, and modules with unit. I will show in a second. Yeah. The number 3, I think, is very important and new for us. The areas and units are not disciplinary, but discipline spanning. It is much more interesting to work in a project with different disciplines, because it will be so later on when you work in a company. So also the curriculum takes care of that. Module areas and cross-curricular units can be presented with reference fields. It's not necessary to have something called ethics or so or environmental awareness. It can be included in the other modules. So the following reference field can be defined for all module areas and units. The profession engineer, for example, includes then ethics, engineering, social and engineering pedagogical approaches, the student as an acting subject, structures of work and organization in companies. I will want to talk a little bit about the student as acting subject. I think in Europe, the focus on the student really came just, I don't know when it started, 20 years or so ago, when the Bologna process was introduced, because with the Bologna process, the curricula at the universities are not hours of seminar or lecture or so, but they defined as credit points, which means hours the student had been working. Working includes his maybe sitting in a lecture, writing essays or whatever, having an examination. Everything is included. And the curricula at the universities nowadays, they define the working as what the student is doing. And so one credit point from the view of the student, not as before, 1 credit point if the professors talks 1 hour per week. In Austria it is 45 minutes per week for a semester. So that really changed. And we also have now this topic that we say the student as an acting subject. And it needed to be introduced in the new curriculum. Then the methodological concept of curriculum implementation should be related to knowledge construction, reconstruction, and transfer. The famous pedagogist, I don't know the word, he introduced knowledge construction, reconstruction, and transfer. And we think this is a very good example which can be used when teaching engineering. But student participants. Maybe students is not in the future the wrong word. And again, the prototype curriculum should be open to country-specific adjustments, because many things not in all countries of the world are the same. It was even the problem before the universities in the countries were organized differently, the curricula were organized differently. And now we think the prototype curriculum of the society should be open to country-specific adjustments. As already shortly mentioned, the methods and the media are not required in the description of the course. So you have your professors doing this. Of course, when you apply for accreditation, you look at what are the professors doing, but it's not necessary that's in the course it's described, because it can be changed every year, like I do when I teach, or according to the students present. They all come from industry, whatever different industry they come. I change in my seminar what we will do together. I don't have lectures, I just have seminars. Then also the assessment defined by country-specific conditions. But important is an engineering didactic approach must be prescribed. Yeah, I will show one in a second. Mandatory in the new prototype curriculum are 20 credit points, the description of the module areas, and description of the qualifications. The recommendation for the implementation, an appropriate relationship between contact hour and independent working hours. Yeah. Because we learned in the different countries, the view about that is not the same. So we say it's open to the training center to have the appropriate relationship between contact hours and independent working hours to get the credit points for the module or for the unit. The use of ICT is recommended, but as mentioned before, with COVID-19 all over the world, now we work with ICT. Yeah. In September 2020, our president, Professor Hanno Horch, gave a presentation at the conference in Tallinn. And I have now, I think, the 4 coming slides. They are taken from his presentation. So you see, he explained the holistic didactic concept. I will not do that, just show you that he started, that was one of his slides. The overview, this I want to talk with you about short. New prototype curriculum module description as given at the conference in Tallinn in September 2020. Module area 1, higher education system and vocational system. Yeah. Module area 2, the basics of engineering didactics and methodics. Before it was called educational technology, but however it is called, the name is not so important, but what's in this. You should design learning and teaching processes, or that the student must learn to design learning and teaching processes. Module area 3, the design of an academic course. Module area 4, curriculum, theory and practice. 5, didactical path from theory to application. Area 6, the application, and area 7, selected units. The area 1, yeah, speaks for itself. Area 2, now we see modules can be divided in units. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4. Unit 1, design of teaching and learning processes. Unit 2, media in engineering education. Unit 3, communication processes. Yeah, engineering education. And communication is something special, and the engineers has also to communicate to other persons and so on. So it's a very important topic. And then the evaluation, and I would say assessment. Here it says control of learning outcomes. Yeah. And of course, if I have seminars, my assessment will be differ a lot from an assessment where a lecture has to be, yeah, assessed, or be, as Professor Horch wrote, that the what the student learned has to be controlled, and what he or she learned has to be controlled, and not what the group or what the internet shows, and so on and so on. So very important topic, assessment and evaluation of learning outcomes. Module area 3. I mean, we have a change. We have lectures, we have seminars, but a very important part of our work is consultation. Yeah. Now, especially now with the distance education, we have to consult when they need help, what they have to do. Today I had to help a student, although we have Easter holidays in Austria, but a student sent me her, she has to write a report. It must be 60,000. It's not important. It's 30 or 40 pages. So not, for a student, this is a lot. And she had been working, for 20 years, I think, but she needed help. So of course we have to consult them when they work at home or like self-study. Unit 2, very important, the practice laboratory and so on. I come from the chemical engineering, and you can imagine how difficult this is with just online to let them work in the laboratory. Yeah, how to use a pipette and so and so. Of course, if the machine just analyzes, this is easy, but how to prepare the sample, the students have to learn by hand and by doing that. So we're working on that. Module area 4, curriculum theory and practice, determination of study goals and objectives. Very important of every subject. The engineering educator later has to present to his students. And unit 2 is teaching portfolio. Module area 5, the didactical path from theory to application. Maybe internships, maybe research projects with partners from the labor market. The field is open, what in your field of engineering is. Then application. Best cases, best practice, maybe final colloquium. And then the module area 7, selected additional units. All these units are examples. Professor Hort states, for example, digitization of teaching, excursions to research institutes and the industrial partners, entrepreneurship, and so on and so on. So open for the ATC to fill in what in the special country, what selected additional units may be of interest. Here is an example also from the presentation of Professor Horch in Tallinn of the description formula for design of academic course types for the module 3, unit 1, relation between lecture, seminar, consultation, self-studies. The participants are able to plan, to carry out and to follow up academic course types in accordance with the intended qualification goals and the target groups and so on and so on. Yeah, forms of teaching, seminars, and so and so. Yeah, I don't have to read everything because, as I said before, you can get that presentation from the IFEES website. In conclusion, the new IGIP Prototype Curriculum is a curriculum with 20 credit points. It has module areas and units. And for us, but also for you, may be important, the target groups are extended, and I think really extended. Not disciplinary, but discipline spanning. It's also a new concept for the society. The concept of knowledge construction, reconstruction, and transfer. Country-specific adjustments of the prototype curriculum by the ATCs are possible, and we want that. Registered as Ing.Paed.IGIP as outcome of a 20 credit point course at an accredited training center. So that was the conclusion in short of what I wanted to present. Here is a sheet with the contacts. The most important person of a society is, yeah, I would say not the president, but the general secretary. He knows everything and he can help everyone if you just ask him. His email addresses are stated here, and then you have my email address.
There he is. Michael.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eleonore Lickl, and thank you for Michael Auer. And of course, I should also thank Hanno because he has been featured in many of the slides. So we have time for a few questions and comments, but if you want to add something, Michael, go ahead. In the meantime, I look for questions and comments. Go ahead.
Krishna, short remark, no question. I do not know everything, but I would like to correct only one thing. Of course, Eleonore is right that IGIP Prototype Curriculum is from 2006, but I would like to underline that there was an adaptation, an update in 2013. Eleonore, maybe you remember it was a meeting of the executive committee in Berlin. So, and after 2018 or with year 2018, we started the new curriculum development. And it will also not be the last adoption, I think so. The field of our work is so dynamic. We just mentioned it at the moment, so that we will also continuously work on this prototype curriculum. Of course, all new applications for accredited training centers will be based on the new curriculum now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hanno, any comments from you? And then I've made many people panelists. They can just unmute themselves and make comments, or they can text. Go ahead, Hanno, my friend. Cannot hear you. Can't hear you. Well, voice is not audible.
Microphone is off.
There you go. Now it's coming. Anybody? Uriel, Adla, Veena, anybody comments from any of you all? Hello. Or anybody from the audience here?
Hello, everybody. This is Uriel.
Hi, Uriel, come in. Yes,
Hi.
Uriel, come in.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Hi.
Well, very nice presentation, Eleonore. Good morning, good afternoon to everybody there. I'm really pleased to be part of this session and learning even more about what IGIP is. As you know, together with Lueni, we have developed several cohorts of this program in Latin America, and we are now following with her initiative with my colleague from Spain, Eduardo Vendrell, and we have reached an agreement with IFEES in order to work together and try to reach more people with this very important accreditation. I want just to share this with you. And again, a very nice presentation. Congratulations, Eleonore.
Thank you.
Any luck, Hanno?
Yeah. I was
Yes,
successful.
Yes. Good.
Maybe you ask me, and I have a short answer. Maybe you have success to my presentation in Tallinn. That was a long keynote, and I have explained it, I mean, in a very clear words, what is a basic of this new prototype curriculum. Maybe you can try to find out in the web, and you can listen to my voice. But maybe now I can state maybe 3 things. The first one is, of course, we have changed the curriculum from a strong regulated prototype curriculum in special subjects. This was already mentioned by Eleonore. That is a big change. But another, for me, more important change is we try to come nearer to the labor market. And that means to the demands on an engineer from the point of view of a company, but also what are the new duties and tasks of an engineer in a production line, for instance. And so the second very important remark from my side is this new prototype curriculum has a very, very strong relationship to the organization forms of work, of the duties, of the task in a new production line. Only one keyword maybe in this relation, lean management, lean production structures today. We have in modern car companies very often teamwork, and we have special communication in this, and all the different units are following these demands, what we can find in a production line, in a service structure. And the third remark is, and I mean the third, in my opinion, very important changes, we try to find out a very modern didactical approach. Maybe you can name it holistic approach. This slide was also from my presentation in Tallinn. But I mean, more important is that we say this what the engineer has to carry out in a company are acts. He has to fulfill tasks, has to know what different duties are in his station or in its department. And so, I mean, the act theory of the psychology is very important and very near to this what the engineer has to carry out. We have to try to find out what is the structure of acting of an engineer. And this structure of an acting of an engineer, we have to bring in the curriculum. Or it has one part of an approach, of the didactical approach for the curriculum. 3 points.
Thank you, Hanno. Veena, anything quick you want to comment? And we have a question.
I just want to thank Professor Lickl for a wonderful presentation and very knowledgeable. And I think the strength of the new curriculum is that it's very well structured, but at the same time, it allows, it's open and it allows flexibility for countries to bring in their own adjustments. Like the program we have here, it has almost all the components, required components of the IGIP certification, but we've had to make changes because the ground realities are different and requirements are different. But thank you very much for a very, very interesting and knowledgeable presentation, Dr. Lickl.
Thank you, Dr. Veena Kumar from India, with the program in India, but she's in the United States actually. Quick question from Edmundo, and I'll give it to Hans Feuer. Edmundo is asking a question about the training materials. Yeah, and I understand the training materials are in charge of the ATC. If yes, are they shared among the ATCs?
Maybe Michael, you can answer that. I think they are not shared, but Michael Auer knows more about that.
Yes, Michael? Hanno, you can maybe address. Michael seems to have frozen.
Maybe you can repeat the question because I have heard only Michael Auer can answer, and so I didn't follow the question.
Are the training materials shared among the ATCs?
It is possible, of course, Michael. I mean, we have planned that we bring the curriculum also on the website because it is now actual. We had a decision in our executive committee about this new prototype curriculum, and I mean, now we can put it on the website, and then it is open for all. Also, the module description, of course.
Excellent.
This is
So thank you,
not
Anna.
a
I'm going to
secret.
give this over to Hans to give the closing remarks.
Yes,
And you already had the email ID of Michael out, who knows everything. So you can email him. Anybody other questions? Hans, come in.
thank you. Thank you very much. Greetings, Krishna. Can you hear me, my friend?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I really want to thank Eleonore Lickl, Dr. Lickl, for her very thoughtful presentation, the kind of articulation that is deeply valued not only in Europe, but globally. And I really want to thank you very, very much. And the fact that also you are a key leader of the IFEES community, you know, working obviously closely with Michael Auer, with Hanno and many others. And I'm very pleased that our IFEES president, Allah, is also with us at this particular time. So I really want to thank you for your presence, very thoughtful. I'd like very much, Hanno, to ask you to share that PowerPoint that you gave, you know, last year, and I'd like very much to share it with our global community, because there's a lot of important material that you and Eleonore have shared with us. Just a couple of final comments. It's inspiring to have leaders such as you engage through the webinar series, and Krishna and I and our team, IFEES, GDC, and IUC have been working very closely in a very successful dynamic, many topics, and it's important to engage our friends and colleagues globally, 6 continents, for women and men to engage, and our students. And I was very happy to hear, Hanno, this deep commitment that you have in terms of engaging students. That's very much at the heart of the vision of IFEES and the GDC. And I also know in terms of IUCE. I just want to just make that point. Two other things, in our partnership and those of us who are participating, we're working very closely with our friends of IGIP, the GDC Industry Forum this year in Dresden. We hope to see many of you this September, realizing the complexity, you know, of our world today, per se. I'm very excited there. And then also in Madrid, we are working with close friends, top professionals that are deeply committed to bring our global community of professors, of students, of corporate colleagues, government, and leaders and so forth together in Madrid this November. And I just want to plant those seeds. Let us know in any way we can be supportive to engage. And just finally, and the many different that the IFEES GDC community is working with, I just before this wonderful webinar, working closely with our wonderful friends and colleagues in India and Africa, the women leaders, writing our 3rd and 4th editions of Rising to the Top. This is part of GDC, you know, global and IFEES community. I'm very proud of that, and hope the India book to be published in May and the Africa book in June. I just wanted to, and we'll have some webinars bringing those women leaders together to share those journeys with all of you. With that, my brother Krishna, thank you for facilitating a wonderful webinar.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Hanno. Thank you, Eleonore and Michael. And everybody stay happy, stay peaceful, and stay healthy. All right. Good night.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Goodbye.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, Krishna. Hans, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.